ever since the dawn of time, everybody has asked me to make a tier list at some point, like an actual serious tier list. There is already a tier list on this channel, known as the thick tier list, which is still the best tier list on the market. But people want me to make a more serious one, which I understand. But I want to quickly go over why I hate tier list the most in gacha games specifically. Let's just show you one for an example, and I'll talk about why I hate them. So this is a GS tier list for noobs on Tier Maker, and this is where, you know, a lot of people can come here and make, you know, public tier list for pretty much any game that they want to, or anything in life, I think. Just for memes and stuff, or like actual serious tier list, or whatever the case may be. This tier list for the SS tier at the current time, because this was actually made in October 2019, I maybe would agree with you a little bit, but I would also put Mako here and possibly Finn. But as you can see, this tier list is kind of trash because Gerald is down here, but Gerald should really be up here with Thetis because he's just as good. But High Elf Archer's down here. That's trash. High Elf Archer is amazing. She should be up here in S- at least. So you see what I mean, right? This tier list is undervaluing units, and I'm assuming this guy doesn't have a lot of knowledge on the game, and overall it's just not that good of a tier list, especially because Norn is down here. And not only this, I hate this type of tier list too, like where it's S tier, like it's actually lettered and stuff. God, I hate it. I hate it so much in gacha games because the only time this is maybe viable in most situations is like maybe in a PvP oriented gacha game. That may be the only time you see this like actually being used to an effect. It's just I hate tier lists because they undervalue units, they're biased, and I don't think anybody should take them for gospel. And really the only time you should ever look at a tier list, in my opinion, is whenever you're first getting into a gacha game. After that, kind of like, you know, learn the game and understand what makes a character good and what makes a character bad. But we're gonna take this tier list and we're gonna make it our own. Of course, this tier list isn't crazy up to date because it was from October, so the ninjas aren't here, and Dark Finn and Dark Kane aren't here also, but you know, we'll tell you where they deserve to be. So this is my tier list. As you can tell, it's way different from other tier lists, especially the way how it's laid out. So each of the tiers are self-explanatory for themselves. You can literally read over them and you can see what they all are. So we've got in-game champs, viable in most parts of the game, better options are mono teams, the unawoken, which these guys aren't rated. I'm not going to rate people who are unawoken because they're not really viable. And then also the trash tier, which is, these units are, I believe, the only trash units in GS. Some units are missing like Dark Finn, Dark Kane, Shuri, Mizuki, you know, the ninjas and stuff like that. So let's cover where they would be. Dark Finn would be inviable in most parts of the game. Dark Kane would be in better options or mono teams because Dark Kane is really only good on his mono team. However, Dark Finn is good in pretty much all parts of the game. Mizuki, Kisaragi, Saku, Tamine would all be inviable in most parts of the game. You may be like, but OP Saku? What? Did you know Saku can clear Vits? Saku can clear Vits on the team, and it's a viable strategy, and he's really strong against any water boss. He's extremely good. Same thing while Mizuki would be up here. Mizuki hits hard, but she's fighting a fire boss. She'll be viable in most parts of the game. The other two ninjas, which I wouldn't put in viable in most parts of the game, would be Shiki and Amane, that's her name. They would both be in better options. So that covers, I think, oh yeah, and also Gonzo. Gonzo would be in better options as well, because there's a unit that's better than Gonzo, and that's Daki, because Daki gives AoE 100% defense ignore to the whole team, and he's better than Gonzo, and he would be viable in most parts of the game. Pretty much where I would put like I guess like the biggest names that have currently come out in global since like October, which was when this tier list was created. This is kind of how I look at most units personally. I think GS is a game that, yeah, individual performance matters. Team comps is something that matters heavy in GS, like really bad. If your team sucks, then, you know, these units that are up here won't be up here. Like, for example, if you run Biddymaru on just any team, then he's not going to be good. You need to run him on a magic team, or a team that's mostly magic damage dealers, and Biddymaru is going to go crazy because of what he does. Same thing with Wargle. Wargle needs to be on a team where he can be able to break the boss to deal, like, you know, to get the most out of him. You use him alongside Saitama, maybe even Mako and Finn, and then boom, they can break the boss and deal a lot of damage. This is pretty much what I wanted to prove with like a tier list, is that every unit in the game is viable. It just takes a little effort and a little bit of work. I mean, of course, that's the thing though with most people in GS, is that they only want to use the top tiers, which isn't bad, right? You can use the top tiers if you want to, but I definitely do like shout out those people that do take the time to actually make like some units that people think are garbage or just not that viable, and optimize them and make them good. Would they be good in like I said, like in raids and stuff? No, raids are very specific units. Same thing with most in-game content, it's very specific. But for pretty much every other part of the game that you're going to be playing 90% of the time, because GS does not get updated that much with in-game stuff, you can use pretty much all the units that are on this list. So that's my tier list. I know some people may be mad because it's not like an actual traditional tier list. Yeah, this is pretty much what I feel about GS because, like I said, just takes a little bit of optimizing, a little bit of team building. These units are good. I don't really mean to bash like anybody else's tier list. Everybody has their own opinions. And of course, you can make your own tier list. If you don't like this one, who cares? Make your own one. I just want to really get the point across that don't take any tier list as gospel. Always take tier list with a grain of salt. This is my tier list. We'll skim over it one more time for you guys. That's it. This is what I picture in my mind whenever I go to play with a unit or try to, you know, of course, make them good. Everybody on this list can be used, just needs to be a little bit of support. That's really all it takes for most GS units. Most GS units can be used, just takes a little bit of support. Thank you all for coming out. It's been your bro P. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe for more. And last but not least, man, don't forget to drink water.